in the sky, spring out of nowhere, very excited to die. Hey, Mr. Drunky Driver. I know, you're not supposed to drink and drive. And yet, here you are, such a star. But I'm not addressing the alcohol in your system. It's more to do with your drunk system that is currently, very passionately but also freakishly, holding the steering wheel with the engine on full speed, with images blurry, your speech broken and slurry, not knowing where you're going, wherever the road takes you perhaps. Wow. Slow claps. You see, this Friday morning when you decided you'll walk away from your sorrow and bring in the weekend like there's no tomorrow, I didn't realize you were so goddamn serious about it. Because right now, you're on your last minute. Geez, I'm sorry for being so morose, but did you think through the course that maybe drinking and driving wasn't the best decision, and doesn't matter what level of precision you think you have given your current state of intoxication? You know what's smarter than drinking and driving? Drinking and not driving. Hiring a driver beforehand. Focusing on your college dream of starting a band. Finding out why sheep are called sheep and not sheeps. Why are stalkers and plants both called creeps? Or maybe picking up a book and reading some words that tell you that drinking and driving is insane, and if you do it, you're simply a pain in the head, when you could have easily said that today I will not drink and drive. I will cab it instead. Who am I kidding? I'm in my late 20s. I'm just gonna Netflix and go early to bed. See, it wasn't that hard. But instead, you chose to spin with a spinning head, very excited, but also very dead. Hey, Mr. Drunky Driver and Mr. Jaywalker. I know you both haven't met yet, but just imagine a possibility when something like this got set into motion, when you, Mr. Drunky Driver, without precision, are driving recklessly, and you, Mr. Jaywalker, jump out of nowhere in front of his car, and you're not very far from bashing into him, and chances are really slim that you can jaywalk your way out of this situation. You, my friends, are in a big complication. Because you both won't know whom to blame. Was it you who was being reckless, or you who was being careless? Or you both simply being a pain in the head when you could have easily said that today we shall follow traffic rules. The do's and don'ts that separate sages from fools. Everything about the red, the yellow and the green. The please wear a seatbelt, don't drink and drive, avoid road rage, or simply don't be mean. Please wait for your turn, don't be pushy, and look out for anything that's fishy. Fishy, money, suspicious, not much. But if you call for it, then make sure it's Bedki, not Elish. But please, we accept our mistake. And through this, we will take all our bad decisions into consideration to be better citizens for the future of our nation. Whew. Thank you, Mr. Jaywalker and Mr. Drunky Driver. That wasn't that hard, was it? I hope you've learnt your bit. Please take this chance like it's your last. And FYI, it's some elastic energy why ostriches are so fast.
Hi, Austin.
Hey, Shivani, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. Lovely to have you here. Are you going to be screen sharing, Austin?
Yeah, so I can do that.
Yeah, just check. We'll be starting in a minute.
Okay.
We could just check. Yeah, awesome. Oh, this is the same deck which you had done for No More. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
I loved it.
more or
Absolutely,
less, if that's cool with you.
absolutely loved it. Yeah, it's
Awesome.
it's amazing. Yeah. So let's
How
start.
are you? How have the sessions been going?
Oh, the sessions are wonderful. We've had a huge variety of sessions. We've had design thinking, um, graphic design. We've had wildlife photography. So, we've really lovely mix of sessions we've been having. So, like the students are enjoying it a lot. In fact, right now there's an improvisation competition going on in another room. So, I mean, yeah, it's totally awesome.
That's great. Super cool.
Yep.
And it looks like you guys have quite a few people on here too.
Yes, we have a lot of people. We actually had about 5,000 registrations from all
Nice.
over India. All our college students and everyone has joined at some point or the other in the conclave.
Okay.
So we've kept this conclave free of cost for all of the college students. So that way everyone could join in for any session they wanted.
Super cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I saw on the placeholder that you said there's like 900 minutes of content or something.
Yes,
That's amazing.
yes.
Kudos to you guys.
Thank you to the
For
team.
sure.
It's been wonderful. Yeah. So I think it's a good time to start at 7:30.
Okay.
Vaibhav, if I could get a thumbs up from you to start.
Yeah, for sure. How long do I have roughly?
We had talked about 45 minutes, or however long you want, we could.
Okay. No, 45 minutes is perfect.
Yeah,
and then we can do like a little Q&A or whatever at the end, and people can just type stuff in the chat. And yeah, I'm thumbs up for me. I'm ready to go.
Awesome. I guess Divyang is also here. Yeah, awesome. Great, so let's start. So everyone, we have Mr. Austin Belkak here, who will be talking about unconventional job search strategies. So we have around 241 people logged in from all over India. So really excited to have everyone on board for this. And I'm sure you'll learn a lot. So let me just start with a brief introduction of Austin, because it's extremely interesting. So Austin is the founder of cultivatedculture.com, where he helps people land jobs they love without who are the people who are without traditional experiences and without applying online. So very unique setup that way. So Austin's job search system stems from his personal experience transitioning from a new grad to with a biology degree with 2.58 GPA and a job in healthcare to landing interviews and offers at Microsoft, Google, and Twitter. Austin is currently working as a director of partner development at Microsoft. He's joining us straight from New York, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yes, great. He's joining us straight from New York. His strategies have been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, Fast & Co, and INC. And he has helped thousands of job seekers land jobs at places like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, just name it all, and all without applying online. So over to you, Austin, to just inspire everyone on the call to get their jobs properly.
For sure. No, thank you so much for the introduction, Shivani. It was really generous, and I hope I can live up to it. We'll see. So yeah, as you mentioned, basically today we're going to be talking about some unconventional job search strategies, and essentially what that means is teaching you all how to take a new approach to the job search so you can get in the door without having to fill out hundreds of online applications and never hearing back. I'm going to show you a different way to get in the door that will allow you to basically circumvent the online application process, build some relationships with people, find creative ways to illustrate your value so it's actually recognized. And I think that if you start taking this approach, you're going to see much better results than you might have been seeing with the job search approaches that you've taken in the past, or the traditional approach that a lot of people talk about. So Shivani already covered a lot of this, but in terms of an introduction, who am I? Well, I live in New York, and I do basically two things. During the day, I work at Microsoft as a director of partnerships. And I've been doing that for about 5 years now, which has been a lot of fun. And it's really sort of been the launching pad for the next thing that I do, which is Cultivated Culture. And so Cultivated Culture was born about 6 months after I started at Microsoft, when a lot of people asked me how I landed my job there. I decided to start this site, and now we've grown it to a community of about 450,000 job seekers from all over the world. And we've helped most of them, many of them, get jobs at places that they love without traditional experience and without applying online. So those same strategies, as Shivani mentioned, have been featured in a number of the places that you see it on the bottom of the slide here. But more importantly than features and stuff like that, as I mentioned, we've helped people get hired at some of the world's best companies. And a lot of those people haven't been, they didn't go to Harvard. They didn't have all the good grades. They didn't have the traditional background. These are people who probably dealt with a lot of the stuff that many of you are feeling, which is you want to make a change in the industry that you're working in, or you want to work at one of these top tier companies, but you're not sure how to set yourself apart. And you may feel like other people have more experience, better experience, whatever it is. Well, a lot of the people that come through my community and a lot of the people who use this strategy have had those same feelings, but we're able to succeed anyways, because we're taking an approach that's a little bit different than what you see, pretty much anywhere else out there. So this story sounds nice, right? We have, I work at Microsoft. I live in New York. I have this business that lets me speak to people like you, but it hasn't always been this way. So back when I started my whole kind of professional life in the US, it really goes back to college, where I wanted to be a doctor, because we're not really given the tools to explore the careers that are out there and the careers that are available to us, but we're also forced to kind of pick one early on, right? A lot of people ask us, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? How are you going to be successful? And that's a pretty loaded question, especially considering that we're not really given a lot of tools to explore. So I chose doctor because it made my parents happy, and it made, other people, professors, teachers, made them happy. And I went to university to do that. But when I got to university, I quickly found that I wasn't, I just was not into the academic side of things. School was not really for me. So I ended up failing a bunch of classes. I ended up getting pretty poor grades, and I just coasted through the rest of college. I didn't put in a lot of work. I didn't, try too hard when I was looking for jobs. And I got an internship that essentially fell into my lap. So my roommate's dad was working at a place that had some openings, and he just kind of funneled me in because he had the connections. And I was lucky that was available to me. That's a pretty privileged place to be, I would say. And I did that for my internship. They offered me a job at the end of the summer, and I accepted it sight unseen. I didn't think about salary. I didn't even apply to a single other job. I literally just accepted one offer from one place, no applications, no interviews anywhere else. Meanwhile, a lot of my friends were out there, and they were applying to other jobs. They were interviewing at other jobs. They were really playing the field and seeing what was out there. So when graduation came, I sort of got slapped in the face. I graduated. I ended up with this job that really didn't pay me very much, to the point where my apartment, my car, just paying for groceries, that took up about 80 to 90% of the income that I was making. And there wasn't a lot left over for anything else. So I racked up $10,000 plus of credit card debt in the first couple of months. And that was not a good feeling. And I didn't really know what I was going to do about it. Then on top of that, my boss, he treated me like crap. He kept saying, you don't have a future in this field. You're not good at this job. Maybe you should go do something else. And the job itself was pretty miserable. I was waking up at 3:30 in the morning to drive 2 hours to a hospital, to be there by 6 a.m. And I was doing that 6 days a week. I was just dead tired all the time. And it was just a pretty low point for me. But after, a few months of that, a few weeks of that, even, I said, I need to make a change. I can't keep doing this. So I started looking at what else was out there. And I basically found that I wanted to go into tech. This was back in 2013 when I graduated, and I started that job in May of 2013. And I said, okay, I want to, where do I want to go? If I could work anywhere, if I'm going to make this transition, I might as well shoot for the stars. So I said, I'm going to work at Google. I'm going to work at Microsoft. I'm going to work at any of these companies. And so here I am with, terrible grades, no real experience, and I want to work at Google. So I started with, the first thing that most of us would do, which is to go to our friends and our family and our career counselors and ask for advice. Hey, I want to make this change. What should I do? So they all kind of told me the same stuff, which was tweak your resume and cover letter, apply for jobs online, and kind of cross your fingers and wait. Pretty much everybody said these three things, and they said that it was a numbers game. So the more places that I applied to, the better chance I have of hearing back. So I said, okay, I can do that. And that's exactly what I did. Over the next month, I basically went out there and I submitted about 100 online applications. And I tweaked my resume, I tweaked my cover letter, I read all the online articles, I did all the stuff that you're supposed to do. And I crossed my fingers and waited. And I didn't get anything back. I didn't get a single interview. I didn't obviously get a single offer. And I was wondering what was wrong, because all these people that I trusted and that I've always gone to for advice told me that this was the way. So I didn't know what else to do. So I went back to them and I said, guys, what am I doing wrong? Like, why is this thing that you told me about this process, why is it not working? And they told me it's because I'm not applying for enough jobs. And apparently 100 wasn't enough. You need to apply to more, because again, it's a numbers game. So I said, that doesn't sound right, but I will do it because, again, I trust you all. You're the people I've always gone to for advice in my life. So I'm going to double down. I'm going to apply to 200 jobs over the next month. And if I don't get anything out of it, I have to change course, because clearly something is wrong with this system. And that's exactly what happened. So I applied to 300 plus online applications, or I applied to 300 plus different places, different roles, 100 in the first month, 200 in the second month. And basically what came out of that was 5 interviews. And most of those were sort of pity interviews from family friends who, were willing to talk to me because they knew my parents, or I had a friend's family that they knew. And they all told me the same thing. We really like you. You seem like a nice guy, but we have other candidates with real experience. So we have to hire them. And the metric that mattered just wasn't there. And that was the job offer. So at this point, I've done this process that everybody had told me, again, parents, teachers, career counselors, and it wasn't working. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So I knew this was crazy. I knew that I was going insane with this process, and there had to be a better way to do this. And about that same time, I had coffee with somebody who went to my university, and they told me, look, Austin, you're taking advice from the wrong people. Like, sure, you're taking advice from people who you trust and people who have been successful in their own right, but none of these people have walked the path that you're trying to walk. None of these people have been successful with the same trajectory that you're aiming for. And that really sparked a light bulb for me. This person was basically saying that you should only take advice from people who already have what you want. And so instead of taking advice from family who hadn't worked at Google, or friends who worked in a totally different industry than the one I was targeting, or career counselors who hadn't even had, a job outside of being a career counselor for the longest time, I needed to go find people, maybe not Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, but I had to go find people who had walked the path that I was trying to walk, people who had broken into the tech space from a non-traditional background. So this was a light bulb moment for me. And I sat down and I said, okay, I'm going to write out my dream job criteria. So I basically wrote down a list of 5 things. I wanted to be working for a leading tech company like a Google or a Microsoft. I wanted to be living in a major city like a New York or an LA. I wanted to have flexibility to work, wherever I wanted, whenever I needed. I didn't want to be tied to an office for, 9 to 5 or whatever it is. I wanted to be making 6 figures or a certain salary every year. And I wanted to be doing this all by the age of 26. So I wrote all this stuff down and I went out and I found people. I used LinkedIn to find people who already checked every single one of these boxes. And I just started emailing them and I started asking them, hey, how did you do this? How did you make the jump from your non-traditional background to working at Google, living in New York? And I talked to about 20 or 30 people, somewhere in that ballpark. And I basically listened to their stories and I tried to find the common threads, the thing that everybody did that was successful. But then I also sort of cherry picked different strategies. I said, hey, I really like what that person did. Let me try my own version of that. And so I started developing this system. And then I turned the job search essentially into a game. I said, I'm going to tear apart this whole process and I'm going to figure out what makes it tick. I'm going to figure out why X works and why Y doesn't. And so I just expanded my scope entirely. I started applying to any job I could get my hands on. I started sending tons of cold emails to different people. And my whole goal was to understand what worked and what didn't. And so I did that for about a year. And through that process of trial and error and rejection and failure and experimentation, I finally developed a system that essentially allowed me to pick and choose where I landed interviews. So if you look at this chart here, you can see the number of interviews that I went on in red there, and my salary in blue, and the companies that I ended up interviewing with. Basically what you can see is in that period from 2013 to 2014, when I was testing out this strategy, I went on a lot of interviews. I applied to a ton of places, and I just tried to get as much information and feedback as I possibly could on this system. And then once I understood what worked at each step of the process, that allowed me to not have to go on as many interviews because I landed higher quality interviews. So instead of going on, 50 interviews, I could go on 3, but they were at Google, Microsoft, and Twitter. And that's really the power of this system. So essentially what happened was, through this system, I was able to basically point to companies and say, I want to land interviews there, and land interviews and offers at those places. So I basically ended up with the choice between Google and Microsoft. I ended up taking the role at Microsoft, and here we are. So that's the system that I want to walk you through today. The system that I kind of developed through this time, but the system that I've also shared with thousands and thousands of other people who've gone on to replicate these results, land jobs at these very same companies, and do it all, again, without traditional experience and without applying online. So essentially, when we think about this approach, there are 7 steps to this. First, we want to understand the big picture. It's really, really important to get clarity on where you want to go next. The worst thing that you can do is just start applying to jobs for the sake of applying to jobs, just because you're hoping to land something. And obviously, if you're in a position financially where you absolutely need a job, that's very different. But for the most part, if you have the luxury of taking some time to explore and plan for where you want to go next, that's really going to help you out. Because what a lot of people end up doing is they just start applying and then they land a job that they end up not liking because they didn't do their research ahead of time. And then guess what? They have to go back and start the job search all over again. And the job search is not fun. Like, I think you guys know it. I know it. The job search sucks, if we're being honest. And none of us, you guys would prefer to not be on this webinar, right? You probably prefer to just have the process be easy and land at these companies. But the nature of the process is that it's hard and it takes effort and it takes time. And so the last thing I want is for you all to go through this whole process and end up at a company that you don't like, and then have to do the whole thing over again. So that's why it's really important to get clarity on the big picture. And I can share a link at the end to a framework I have on that. But once you understand where you want to go, the next step is to make a list of target companies, and then to go find people who work at those companies and have the ability to influence the hiring decision for the role that you want. So what we're going to do is email those people. We're going to build some relationships with them, and we're going to work to get a referral from them, because referrals are really where the magic happens. So when we get referred in from somebody who works there, 1, we don't have to go through the online application process. We typically just get funneled into an interview. And 2, we already have this sort of support, or this person vouching or advocating for us, which really goes a long way when we're competing with a lot of other people. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up meetings with them. We're going to have conversations with them. We're going to try and build a relationship, but also dig up some information about their team's biggest challenge, or where they're going over the next 6 to 12 months, or whatever it is. And then we're going to go work to solve their problem. So instead of just relying on a resume or a cover letter, we're going to put together something that I call a value validation project, which we'll talk about in just a second. And then you're going to get an interview. You're going to go through the interview process, get the final round, get the offer, and negotiate your salary. But really today, what we're going to be focusing on are steps 2 through 4. That's really the key piece, where if you can start doing this well, you're going to consistently land more interviews. And if you have more interviews in your pipeline, one of those will turn into an offer for you. And the good news is that these are highly targeted companies that we're going after. So these interviews should be at places that you're excited to work at, not just the place that was, willing to take a chance on your resume. So starting with step 1 or step 2 in the 7-step process, we need to go out and find contacts in companies. So the first thing that you're going to do is just make a list of 10 to 15 target companies, and you can prioritize them if you want. You can go, 1 through 15, or you can do tiers. This is my top tier, this is my middle tier, this is my bottom tier. But these companies should be places that you're excited about and that, you really want to work for, because it's going to require a lot of work. And we are going to learn everything that we possibly can about these companies. So you need to be excited about working at these places in order for this to be worthwhile. If you're just throwing random companies in this list, it's going to be hard to stick with the whole process. And it's just going to be easier to say, well, I don't know if this work is worth it. So I really want you to shoot for the stars here when you pick your 10 to 15 companies. And that's our starting point. So for today, for this presentation, let's just say that we're interested in this account manager role at Google in New York. This is the role that we really want to aim for. So what we're going to do is, once we understand our target companies and our target roles, we're going to work backwards from the offer to figure out how many people we need to reach out to. Because the cool part about this process is that you can take back a lot more control, and you can basically have a lot more predictability at every step in the process versus an online application. One of the worst things about applying online that I found was I could apply to 1 company or 50 companies or 200 companies, and I couldn't tell any of you how many offers I would, or how many interviews rather, I would get out of that. I just had no idea. There was no predictability. Whereas with this process, we can actually measure our success at every step in the process, and we can understand where the process is breaking, where we're doing well, where we need to improve. So essentially what we're going to do is use something that I call the pipeline technique. So we're going to start with the job offer, and we're going to work our way back, assuming some success rates here. So if you want 2 job offers and your success rate from final round interview to job offer is 33%, you need 6 final round interviews. But not every interview we go on is going to end up in a final round, right? There's going to be some attrition there. So let's say that our success rate from first round interview to final round interview is also 33%. That means we need 18 first round interviews to get those 6 final rounds and get those 2 offers. So hopefully most of these 18 interviews are coming via referral. Maybe 1 or 2 are coming from online applications that you submit, and that's totally fine and cool. But if we want to have at least 18 interviews, we need to speak to at least 18 people who are going to refer us in. But not every person that we connect with is going to turn into a referral. So we actually usually need to get in the ballpark of 30 to 50 conversations. And those conversations can be face-to-face over a Zoom. They could be in person, when we're not in the pandemic. They could also be over email. They could be via LinkedIn. They don't necessarily have to be in person or over the phone is what I'm getting at, because 50 conversations on the phone is a lot. That's a lot of time, and that's a big investment. And that's not what I'm saying. Like, you can interact with people over LinkedIn, you can interact with people over email, you can build relationships that way. We really just need about 50 touch points with different contacts to get into this scenario where we have about 18 who are going to refer us in. But not everybody we try to connect with is going to connect with us, right? So if we want those, I said 30 to 50, I have the average out here to 40. If we want those 40 conversations, we need to bake in enough outreach to get there. So when you start sending cold emails, you'll probably see a response rate in the ballpark of like 10 to 15%. But as you follow up and as you start testing and you get better at those emails, that's going to rise to about 30%, 33%. So if we want 40 conversations and we have a 33% response rate, that means we need to email 150 people, or we need to get in touch with 150 people. And so that's our goal. We're basically going to come up with 150 contacts, which at 10 to 15 target companies, that works out to be about 10 to 15 people at each of those companies. So that's what we're looking for. You're going to start by coming up with your target companies, and then you're going to go find 10 to 15 people at each of those target companies. And then we can feel confident that if we send 150 emails, we should get 40 conversations, which turns into 18 or so first round interviews, which turns into 6 final round interviews and 1 or 2 offers. So we're really putting ourselves in a good position statistically to end up with a job offer at the end of this process. So how do we find those people? Well, LinkedIn is the easiest way to go. And really all you need to do is show up on the platform and search for the job title that you're looking for, and then you can use the filters to filter for your company, to filter for the location, and anything else that kind of narrows the scope here. But if we put that in, you can see a bunch of people who work in the role we're targeting, this account manager role at Google, pop up. And these people are all in a really good position for us to connect with them, right? Because they're already working in the role we want. They already have what we want. And so connecting with them means their referral will be more valuable. They can give us better information about the role. So these people are worthwhile. And really, at the end of the day, what you want to do is try to connect with the person who has the most influence over your target role's hiring decision. So if you can find that manager, great. If you can find people on the immediate team, also great. If you can find people that work with that team, also great. We just want to start from the core and kind of work our way out. But the closer you can get to that hiring manager, the better. So what do we do with these people? Well, we're going to take them and we're going to put them into a doc here. And so I basically like to set it up like this: their name, title, email, company, LinkedIn, where they're located. And again, 150 contacts, 15 people at 15 companies, or 10 to 15 people at 10 to 15 companies. But if you put all their information in here, you sort of have like a mini CRM. You can keep track of all your outreach. You can write some notes about these people, if they went to the same university, or if they have a mutual connection, or if you read something interesting on their profile you want to reach out to them about. That's all going to be baked in here, so that when you have 150 contacts and you go back to email them, you can remember, oh, I meant to say, I want to reference this thing when I'm emailing this person, or, oh, this person went to my university. You can keep that all in this document, all in this Google Sheet or Excel sheet, whatever you want to use. But the last thing here is finding people's emails. So emails are typically the best way to get in touch with folks for a number of reasons. The response rates just tend to be higher. I typically recommend using email to send your notes first, and then using LinkedIn as a backup, simply because email is ubiquitous. Everybody has an email. Everybody's on email. They're more likely to receive your message. When it comes to LinkedIn, a lot of people have a LinkedIn. Not everybody does, but even the people who do, most of them aren't necessarily active all the time. So I would definitely recommend checking out email. Email is also free. LinkedIn, you have to pay for email credits unless you're connected with the person. So how do we find these people's emails? Well, I'd recommend using a tool called mailscoop.io. So if you go to Mailscoop, all you need to do is put in the person's name and a link to their company, and Mailscoop should find their email address for you, or it'll take a guess. And if you scroll further down the Mailscoop page, it'll tell you what to do if Mailscoop can't find their email. It'll give you some suggestions for a couple other ways that you can find their email address. But again, emailing people is my preference and my recommendation over LinkedIn messaging. But if you can't find somebody's email or they don't respond, then by all means, you can absolutely go back and use LinkedIn to get in touch with them. So that is the first piece. 15 companies or so, 10 to 15 contacts at each of those companies, drop in all their information, do all of that first before moving on to this next step, because we want to do everything that's in our power and in our control first. So next, what we're going to do is reach out to them. So when it comes to cold email, even before I get to that slide, the best way to get good at cold email is to test and iterate. So a lot of people make the mistake of just going and grabbing an email template and pasting it in and sending it. And the problem with that is, and the thing I want you to remember is, and I'm emphasizing this, if something is easy for you to find, or if something is easy for you to do, it's just as easy for everyone else to find, and it's just as easy for everyone else to do. And easy typically does not lead to better results, simply because if something is easy to do and everybody's doing it, that does not make you stand out. So when I share the template that's on the next slide, I want you to use that as a base, as a boilerplate, and then I want you to make your own version of it. I want you to personalize it. And so the best way to get really good at cold email and to get better response rates is to test. So what I recommend doing is coming up with 3 different templates, and they should each take a fundamentally different approach. So maybe one says, hey, Austin, you work at Microsoft and there's a job opening there and I want to work there too. Here's my resume. Maybe the second one plays into something about me. Hey, Austin, I saw that you made a transition from healthcare to Microsoft. That's really impressive. I'd love to learn more about that. And maybe the third one is just some sort of value add. Hey, Austin, I saw that you are giving a presentation and I actually, took notes on the whole thing and I made a one sheet of it and I'm going to send that to you. Or if this is somebody at a company, maybe you can make a mutual introduction, or maybe you comment on an article that they wrote, or whatever it is. But those are three very different approaches to getting in touch with this person. And then what you do is you send each template to 20 different people. So you have about 60 total emails, 20 emails per template. And then at the end of those 60 emails, you look at the rates. What's your open rate? What's your response rate? How many meetings did you book per template? And then you delete the lowest performing one and you write a new template based on the highest performing one. And then you rinse and repeat. And that's essentially how you're going to get better at getting response rates and connecting with people. It's really about experimentation and testing. So here's one of the templates that you can steal, but essentially a good cold email follows some best practices. So these are based off of these check marks on the right-hand side of the slide are based on a company called Boomerang. They analyzed, I think, 40 million emails, and they looked at what led to the best response rates. So emails that are written at a third grade reading level tend to get the highest response rates. And by that, I don't mean that you're writing like a child. You're just using plain, simple, super easy to understand language. You're not trying to sound overly formal. You're not trying to use big words. You're just, almost writing like you'd speak. Next, using some slightly positive emotion, hope you're having a great week. Hope you're staying safe and healthy, including some stuff like that, maybe adding an exclamation point. Emails with a slightly positive tone tended to get about a 15% higher response rate. Keeping it short and simple as well. You want to aim for 75 to 125 words. Most people fall on the longer end of this. They end up writing a whole essay because they feel like they need to share everything that they possibly can in order to make sure that their value is clear. But really what that does is it just shows up as a giant text wall and nobody wants to read that and you don't end up with a response. That said, you also need to share enough to get the person interested. So that 75 to 125 word ballpark tends to play really well. And then you just want to use a short subjective subject line, which essentially means use an open-ended subject line that's super short so that the person is curious and wants to click in. So I like the subject line quick question here. You can use whatever subject line you want, but then you can dive into the template. So this could be one of your three. And you might say something like, hey, my name's Austin, and I came across your profile while I was looking for people who made their way into the tech space from a non-traditional background. Your experience making the jump from company or industry to Uber really stood out. I hope you don't mind me reaching out of the blue. I'd love to learn more about your journey, talk through some of the challenges you ran into. I know you're busy and your time is valuable. So if you have a few minutes, I'd be really grateful. If not, it's all good. Have a great week. So this person we're assuming has a non-traditional background. And so I'm playing into that. I'm making the email about the other person. I'm not just blasting my resume out to a million people and hoping somebody bites. I'm actually trying to build a relationship with this person so that they can actually be an advocate for me. It's really hard for somebody to advocate for you if they have no idea who you are and you show up kind of making an ask of like, hey, will you give me this job? So investing in that relationship upfront is really, really helpful. Then when you send out those emails, hopefully you're doing your tests, you're switching up templates every 60 emails or so. You should be getting some responses. And again, you should be getting in the ballpark of 30 to 50, responses and conversations booked or at least conversations going. And the goal of these conversations is to build a relationship with the person sitting across from you, but it's also to understand a little bit more about what's going on at their company and at their team. So you're trying to ask them about, hey, what's your team's biggest challenge right now? Or what are you most excited about for the next 6 months? What initiatives are you guys rolling out? What's your vision for the next 6 to 12 months? And then even if you can find out something personal about them, if they have some personal goals, if they have some personal ambitions, those are really, really effective relationship builders. So don't shy away from the personal stuff either, if that's the direction that the conversation goes in. Really, any angle you can take to build a relationship with this person is going to be good and is going to be effective. So you want to cover the whole scope. But at the end of the day, companies and hiring managers want to hire people for two reasons. One, they want to hire people that they know and that they trust to do a good job. And two, they want to hire the person that establishes themselves as the best candidate who's going to bring the most return or the most value for this role. And so at the end of the day, if you build a relationship with this person, one, you're gaining their trust and you're getting them to like you. So that covers the first box. And then if you can understand what their challenges or what initiatives they're driving or what their goals are, or what their vision for the team is or whatever it is, and then you can add value directly to that, you are going to set yourself far beyond everybody else who's just relying on a resume, just relying on a cover letter. So that's our goal. And what we're going to do is we're going to take what we learned from them, and then we're going to go research that problem. We're going to go learn a little bit more about the stuff that they mentioned around challenges or initiatives or whatever. And there's a bunch of different ways to do this. Just two quick ones are, one, listening to quarterly earnings calls or annual shareholder meetings. This tends to play a little bit better for public companies because they're only available for public companies. But all you need to do is type in the company name and earnings call, and it should pop right up. But that earnings call will give you a high-level overview of where the company's at. Are they doing well? Are they not doing so well? What are they looking to accomplish over the next 6 to 12 months? What challenges do they foresee popping up? How are they dealing with the competition? You're going to learn about all that in the earnings calls. On top of that, I would check out a site called seekingalpha.com, and I would also sign up for Google Alerts about this company. And both of these, so Google Alerts is just going to send you the best and most relevant articles for these companies, and they're going to email them right to you, so you don't have to go find them. So reading those is going to be really helpful. And then Seeking Alpha is going to not only give you news, but also give you opinion pieces from financial analysts who are studying these companies. So you'll have an understanding of what the financial analysts are saying, what their opinions are. So you can see what the news is, and then you can see what people's opinions are on the news, which will help you, one, form your own opinion, and two, it will help you understand the talk tracks that are out there so you can reference them. And what this is going to allow you to do is one, ask better questions. So instead of saying, hey, Austin, what is a life of a partner director look like at Microsoft on a daily basis? You can say, hey, Austin, I was listening to Satya Nadella's keynote, and he mentioned this one initiative that Microsoft is driving where they're creating a trusted news source within Bing as a search engine. And a bunch of the analysts are saying that, X, Y, and Z could be a challenge. How are you dealing with that challenge? That question is a lot more advanced than what does a day in your work life look like? And that's going to gain you a lot of credibility because it shows that you did your research. It shows that you put in the time. On top of that, for private companies, some of the best stuff you can do is listen to interviews or keynotes or podcasts or whatever it is with executives at those companies. And then on top of that, surveying their customers is another great way to get that information. Going in, finding online communities, going and reading reviews, actually going out and talking to people who are either customers of the company or in their target demographic, maybe prospects of the company. Those are all great ways to get information around this problem that you learned in your conversation. And then what you're going to do is you're going to solve that problem, or you're going to add value through ideas or feedback or solutions to an initiative. Basically, you're going to create something that allows you to say, hey, here's what I can do if you're willing to take a chance on hiring me. And I call this a value validation project. So a value validation project, or a VVP, is essentially a deliverable that's aimed at proving out your value by, again, providing solutions or suggestions or ideas or some other form of tangible value. And the reason VVPs are so effective is because 99% of candidates out there are relying on their resume, their cover letter, and maybe some answers to interview questions to clarify their value. But the thing is, when we try to sell anything else, and when we try to convince people of something, we don't use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And, we don't use this weird resume language, right? We talk to people like humans. We make it about them. We understand what their problems are and we offer solutions. And resumes, cover letters, they don't really let you do that. And even if you can finagle away, it's really hard to demonstrate your value in writing in one page. Whereas, what does every salesperson on the planet do? Well, they have a pitch deck, right? And they try to get people in person and they run them through their pitch, and maybe they give them a demo of the product. They really get hands-on and they make the pitch about the other person. And at the end of the day, the job search is really just a sales process where you're the product. So a value validation project allows you to sell your value in your own words, on your own terms, and it allows you to focus on what you want to focus on. So if you're a non-traditional candidate like I was sick and tired of everybody looking at my resume and saying, hey, you don't have enough experience, or you don't have any experience. When I started using the value validation project, I was proving that I could do the job. And so nobody could tell me like, hey, I don't think you can do this, because I sent them something that basically proved that I could. And that shifted the conversation away from my non-traditional background and focused it more on, hey, here's this thing I put together for you. Let's talk about this. It's a bit of a consultative approach. So let me give you an example of what a VVP might look like. So here's Nina. And basically Nina used to live in the Middle East. And she actually put this together a while ago. You can see members since March 2013. So this is a while back, but she moved from the Middle East to San Francisco in California, and she really wanted to work for Airbnb. So she applied online, and she didn't hear back. She sent a bunch of emails. She didn't hear back from the emails. So she said, do I give up on Airbnb, or do I do a little bit more? And she basically asked herself, have I done everything I could possibly do to stand out? And the answer in her mind was no. So she said, okay, what else can I do? Well, it turns out that Airbnb at the time was not present in the Middle East, and Nina thought that they were missing out on a big opportunity. So she basically created a website, a web page that started with this and said, I want to work at Airbnb. I realize that thousands of other people do too. So I want to show the kind of value I'd bring to the team. And then she went on and she basically did a bunch of research around listings in the Middle East. So she looked at major cities. She looked at the number of listings at hotels. She looked at the average price. She looked at the reviews, and she said, hey, Airbnb, here's what you're missing. By looking at these listings, if you were to take up 10% of this market or 20% of this market, here's what you stand to gain. Here's what you stand to make. And so she basically provided a business case for Airbnb for a market that they were not capitalizing on. And then she actually just tweeted it out. And the founder of Airbnb, she tweeted it at him, Brian Chesky. He actually looked at it and said, very impressive, and brought her in for an interview the next week. So this is a great example of a value validation project. And one other thing I want to note is that for VVPs, so Nina didn't end up at Airbnb. She actually ended up at a different company called Upwork. But what happened was, with this value validation project that she put together, she got the attention of so many other companies because she put this thing out there. She had it to reference, and she could point to it when she was interviewing at other places and say, hey, I can do this for you. This is the type of value that I bring to the table. So she ended up also getting interviews at LinkedIn, at Uber, at Upwork, I think a couple other places, a couple other major startups. So she had a lot of options based on one value validation project that she put together. So these are super, super effective because they not only work to get you in the door for the company that you're targeting, but they're also something that you can add to your portfolio or templatize for other companies as well. And the value validation project is pretty much as close to a silver bullet as you're going to find in the job search. So what you're going to do with that VVP is you put it together and then you send it back to your contact and you basically say, hey, I really enjoyed our conversation last week, especially that piece around the challenge of, X breaking into the Middle Eastern market or whatever it is. And then you could say, I put together some thoughts. I did some research. I put together some thoughts based on my experience doing this in the past. I've attached them here, let me know what you think. And that going to that length, putting together this value validation project that solves this person's problem, that really is going to set you out in their mind. And that's going to really accelerate the relationship. And so typically what happens is the person says, well, hey, we have a role that really fits well with some of these ideas. I'd love to get you in the door. But even if they don't have a role immediately open, a lot of people ask me, what if my dream company isn't hiring? Building these relationships and doing these types of things tees you up to be the first person in the door when that next role is open. So the more that you do this, the more that you get out there and build these relationships and get this value in front of people, the more opportunities you're going to have down the road. And if you get in the habit of doing this, every value validation project you create, add it to a website or write a blog post about how you put it together. And then all of a sudden you're going to start building this portfolio that you're going to be able to show anyone. And if you do those things, if you make a habit out of building relationships, emailing people, getting them on the phone, adding value to them, you are never going to have to apply for a job online again. Not only that, you're not even going to have to worry about getting a job again because you are going to have so many contacts at all of these different companies that you've built relationships with, that you've added value to. And that is the secret to getting hired in today's market. While everybody else is out there tweaking their resume and trying to get through the applicant tracking systems and getting rejected with online applications, if you're out here building relationships with people who can directly impact your ability to get hired, the company's decision to spend their salary on you, you're not going to have to worry about getting a job again. I promise. So that is the system in a nutshell. That's basically as much as we can cover in about 45 minutes. So what I want to leave you guys with is, this was a lot of information. And a lot of people come to me and they say, okay, Austin, so should I never apply for a job online again, or what's the deal here? So what I tell people is that it's not that you should not apply online, because that would not be smart. You should absolutely apply online to cover your bases. But what you want to do is spend less time applying online. You want to spend 10% of your time applying for jobs online, and you want to spend 90% going through this system that we just talked about. So we actually created some tools for job seekers to help them spend less time on the online application part so they could spend more time on the networking part. So basically, we have a slew of resume tools here. So if you go to resibuild.io, we have a resume builder. It's got all these templates. You can just plug in your resume and play with it. You can use resibullet.io to make sure that your bullets are really well written. And then you can put it into resimatch.io, and you can actually scan it against your target job description. And you can see how well it matches up. And so my hope with these tools is that when you see a job you like, you can say, okay, I already have my resume built. Let me make sure my bullets are in good shape. Let me scan it with ResiMatch and let me go apply for that job. And so you don't have to worry about, is having one page or two wrong or right? Or is this font size or color wrong or right? Like, I want to make this so easy for you. So you just spend 15 minutes on tweaking your resume and you get that online application in, and then you can go spend, way more of your time getting out there and building relationships with your contacts, because at the end of the day, you only have about a 2% chance of landing a job when you apply online. And so if you're spending most of your time on those online applications, you're really playing in this arena where the odds of success are so small. Whereas with referrals and relationships, referrals make up anywhere from 40 to 80% of hires. So you want to be spending the majority of your time focused on where the results are happening, where the hires are taking place. And that's going to be with referrals. So that is it in a nutshell. But I'm totally happy to answer any questions. And I really appreciate you guys having me. I know this is a lot of information. So please feel free to ask any questions that you all have.
Thank you so much for the amazing presentation, Austin.
For sure.
Some wonderful feedback. We had about 400 people tune in for this particular presentation. And
awesome.
I'm sure everyone is going to benefit a lot from this particular event specifically, because we found that most of our students are final year students in their college. So this information is very useful to them. So Austin, I think you could answer a couple of questions. You've been having a lot of questions coming on the chat box. We're actually a little, we have a little time left for this, but it's okay. Most of the questions have been covered in a presentation. So please forgive me, guys, if I don't pick your question. I'm just going to pick a couple of them. So I have one from Divyang. Being an average student, how did you have the drive to do better each day? What was your biggest motivation?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say that I knew that my grades weren't a reflection of who I was. And I also knew what I was capable of. So I knew like what I could do myself. And I just figured that in the real world, like it is a little bit more of a meritocracy than it is in school. And I think one of the things to realize is that like in the real world, there aren't really any rules. Like in college or university or school, you basically, there's a structure and there are rules, right? And failure is like the thing to avoid at all costs. And so if you want to be successful, like you have the syllabus, you study the material, and if you study hard enough, you go take the test and you get an A. But that's not always the case in the real world. And that can be a bad thing if you let it, or it can be a really good thing if you turn it into a good thing. And so I think the biggest thing that I found is as people and as like a society, we try to create these boxes and these processes because it's more efficient. And like companies want you to go through the traditional process because they want to put you in a bucket and they want to automate it. And they don't want, to spend all this time and money, doing all this other stuff. But is that really what's best for you? Not necessarily. So what I always found, there's a great Mark Twain quote that says, if you're on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. And that's not to say, if you're doing what everybody else is doing, that's bad. It's that if you're doing what everybody else is doing, maybe take a second to step back and say why. And if the answer is I'm doing this because it's working, that's great. But if your answer is I'm doing this because it's what everybody else is doing, that's not a great reason to be doing something. And so that's really important. But to go back to the question, I just knew what I was capable of, and I saw the real world as an opportunity to essentially tap into that potential. And I knew, like, from day one going into college, that I didn't care about my grades. I didn't care about school, because when you're taking a class on geometry, I kept thinking, how is this going to be relevant to what I do in my life? And now, being older, I would probably appreciate that class more. But at the time, it was really hard to see and there hasn't been. Geometry has never helped me in my career. And so when you're a student, at least for me, I found it really hard to be interested and spend time on subjects that didn't seem to matter for my long-term trajectory. And so I realized that, I thought it would be fine. And I thought just by going to college, I would be able to get a job somewhere. And then I realized that was not the case. And so I had to do all this other stuff. The reason I did it is because I knew that I expected myself to get to a certain level, and I was really going to do whatever it took to get there.
Okay. And I totally agree with you, Austin. I think, like Steve Jobs said, that, in the future, you can connect the dots. So I think that is basically what you said. I think we can take another question. Which is very pertinent for today's times. So she asks, sir, do online courses actually hold value in our resume? So,
yeah, for sure. I mean, that's how throughout everything we talked about in this deck, something that I was doing on top of that was teaching myself marketing, because it's hard to, if you don't have any experience to point to whatsoever, and that's why the value validation projects can be really helpful. But if you don't have any experience to point to whatsoever, it's going to be really hard to convince people to hire you. And so I took a lot of online courses for digital marketing when I started. And then same with my business. Like, online courses are such a great way to get the information from somebody's brain without, paying a fortune, or without, having to build a relationship with them and get that connection, which can be hard to do. So if I really like somebody's work, I always end up purchasing their course, because if I'm able to figure it out myself, I'll try to do that. But if I really value what they have to say, I'll usually go purchase their course, because that's going to be the best that they have to offer, sort of in a scalable fashion. And so online courses have been a huge part of my success, from making the move into digital marketing to growing my business on the side. So I would say they are. And there's so many free courses available out there now through Coursera or anything else. Like, you can pretty much find a course for free on a lot of the stuff that you're looking for if you want to just get started.
Okay, that's really good advice, Austin. I'm going to hand over this session to Nidhi, who's the head of learning at Young Indians here. So over to you, Nidhi.
Thank you so much, Austin. That was so relevant, and more so in today's time when you don't know where your degrees are coming from, but you still want to make it skill worthy. So thank you, and that was great. And who better than you, because you're sort of bringing innovation to our lives in terms of how we think about getting a job. Who better than you to felicitate our Innovation Challenge Awards? And so we have this competition going side by side at this conclave, which was about picking up 2 of our projects, which we do at Young Indians: road safety and organ donation, and create a campaign for that is catchy enough. So here are the winners, and we would like you to speak some words of encouragement for Team Enigma, which is Saptarshi, Suman, Swarnavo, and Supravas, and winner Team SR with Rishan and Soumya. Please, that would be great if you can say something to them.
Yeah, well, first I'd say congratulations. I mean, that's awesome and super cool of you guys to offer this, and very cool that I don't know what they did necessarily to win, but it sounds like it beat out everybody else. And I think that the innovation piece is so key in whatever you're doing. Going back to the answer I just gave, if you're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, you need to take a step back and ask yourself why, because a lot of times there's the road less traveled, which actually ends up being a better way in the door, because if you're willing, it's usually uncertain and unclear, and you have to take the risk of doing that thing that's uncertain or unclear. But if you're willing to forge that path for yourself and you sort of see the end goal, that's really all you need. And a lot of times, so there's a friend of mine who's on LinkedIn. Her name is Sarah Johnston, and she has a great quote which says when there's a lot of competition, sometimes different is better than better. And so what I mean by that is it's really hard to differentiate between, like, if there are two candidates and one person has, you know, a slightly higher, you know, or slightly better grades than the other one, it's really still hard to differentiate between those two people. But if somebody shows up with something that's a totally different approach, that tends to be perceived as more valuable simply because it's different when everybody else is doing the same thing. So a lot of times when there is a large sample size, when there's a lot of people, sometimes being different is better than being better. And so that's what innovation is all about. And it sounds like that's what these people did. So I would say congrats to them, and for everybody else out there, try to find those ways to be innovative and try to find that other way, you know, to make it happen for yourself. Just because everybody else is doing one thing doesn't mean it's the right or best thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it's the most level field that we have right now, because you know, there are so many courses available online to everybody around the world at the same time, and there are so many courses that are free, that I think this is the time to make most of it and to build skills in our resume. So yeah, thank you so much. And that was, I think, one of the best sessions we've had in this conclave. Thank you so much. Very, very, very relevant for our students. Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate you all having me, and I hope it was valuable. And yeah, I'm looking forward to connecting with everybody afterwards, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Yes, thank you. I think there are going to be a lot of cold emails to you, as you suggested. So yeah.
Totally fine. Totally fine. I love it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Austin.
For sure. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. And I would like to welcome all of you now to the last leg of this conclave, which has been phenomenal, 4 days of learning. And thank you all your students for making it great. We have a DJ at the end of this today to celebrate. But before that, we have a few awards and a few thank yous to go out. And as we do this, I would like to call upon Mr. Moses from Heritage Group. Mr. Moses, can we have his video and unmute him, please? Hello?
Mr. Moses, if you can turn on your camera, please.
Yeah, I don't see him yet.
Mr. Moses? I think the connection has been broken.
Yeah.
Nidhi, could we go ahead with Dr. Chaudhary of Camellia first?
Perfect, no problem. So, Dr. Chaudhary, Director of Camellia Group, could we have your video and have you unmuted, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, but we can't see you yet, sir.
Can't see me. Start the video.
Yes.
Can you see me now?
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir, to this finale, and thank you for your support through the conclave for us. It's been amazing with you and Professor Shantanu supporting us through this. I would like to welcome Rachit, our Yuva chair for Eastern India, and let's talk a little about Camellia with him.
Okay. Good evening, Rajit. Where are you? I can't see you.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm fine.
It's always
Thank
a pleasure
you.
seeing you.
Very lovely face I can see today.
I would really like to tell everybody around in this audience that Dr. Chaudhary has been an immense support. He has always come forward for Yuva and done whatever we have asked. His students are always forthcoming, and we really wish that this association goes on for the years to come. Admin, can we have the video of Camellia, please? Admin, is that all? Okay, can we have the slide next, please, of the winners? So we would really, really like to congratulate your college and the students from your college, 4 of them, who 5 of them, in fact, who have been awarded as Yuva leaders, and especially Shrishti Sengupta, who has been awarded as the Icon Award. As we cannot call on everybody on board, so we extend it to you. And we would really like you now to take over and say something inspiring for all the youth who are there and who are listening to you. So all over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was really flabbergasted with the way this conference has been attended by the students and the way it was arranged. What a lot of subjects which we cannot believe in any conference can be arranged. Right from photography to bodybuilding, so many things. And finally, about the employment, how you can get an employment, it is wonderful. Really, to my students, I will say that in life, we are here only to face the challenges. Every difficulty gives us an opportunity. Look at the COVID. With this difficulty, our atmosphere has become better. The birds are better. The ozone layer has been repaired. So what? If there is a problem somewhere, the other side of the coin is there is a success. So be charging, try to do the job with the full heart. Nobody can stop you. You are the winner and you are our future. You will be able to take the whole country to a height where we are all trying to attain. In another 20 years, we should be the number one country and you will be the torchbearer of that. Everybody is there with you. Everybody likes you to succeed. And whatever possible, your teachers and our colleagues or associates, CII, everybody is there
Yeah, I was logged on again because I suddenly
to establish you in the life. So enjoy the life and please proceed, study well, then nothing can stop you. You will be definitely the heroes of tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all your kind words. We always hope that our relationship with your college, Camellia, is there to stay, and hope to see you very soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have Mr. Moses back with us.
Yeah.
So
Can you
if I
see
could
me?
take, yes, we can see you. We can hear you now, sir.
Perfectly okay.
Yes. So Mr. Moses of the Heritage Group, he's been in and out, not out actually. He's been in education for 4 decades and he's seen it evolve and he's still constantly on that journey. He likes to believe that he's a catalyst, making you a better you for tomorrow. And sir, we believe you're a motivational speaker and a great one at that. So could we have some words for our students, thousands of them listening to you here today?
Yeah, good evening, Nidhi, and thank you for inviting me on. I'd say that, let's say my collaboration or our collaboration with Yuva began some time ago. And I think it's escalated in the last year, let's put it that way. I think it's escalated even faster than the coronavirus started hitting us all around the world. The question is, and I'd like to thank Young Indians and Yuva in particular for giving us this opportunity of getting on board a kind of platform where we can talk to anybody across the world, across the length and breadth. Yeah, I've been on this journey for quite a while, this 4 decades plus, and I'm still on that journey. Probably I'll outlive you guys on that journey. The question is to see, it's not a question of, when we say we are busy or it's age, I believe it's only a state of mind. Because most of the time we see people who are busy really having nothing to do. But basically, I want to leave some kind of words with all you young people and younger people than me and or older than me, let's say, around the place. Uh, I just want to take you back because I'll be talking about just two little areas which I've been talking about in a whole sort of sessions in the last month or two. And I'm talking about the only two constants that are present with us and always will be with us in this time of uncertainty. It is a time of uncertainty. We are all aware. Let's not forget that that's the elephant in the room, and let's not be frightened about addressing the elephant in the room. It is a time of uncertainty. At the same time, it's a challenge, a challenging time. But during this time, there are only two constants which are with us and will be with us. One is change. The other is continuity. And to have a very simple example of it, I'll take you back 75 years ago on the 6th of August, 1945. And that's a true story. It's when, thanks to our education and science and technology, that's when the atom bomb was dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Now, that was even worse than coronavirus. Coronavirus is taking lives, but that devastated entire country. And yet, out of those ashes came Japan again to where it is today. And if an entire nation can rise from those ashes, why can't we get out of this pandemic set of mindset that we have today? And therefore, it's change. Change will always take place, and change is taking place. But yet, at the same time, continuity is there. And what makes us carry on? What makes us carry on? It's been from time immemorial. Mankind is carried on. It is not science or technology that has helped us carry on. Sorry, it's not economics that has helped us carry on. It's the spirit of mankind, the spirit of humanity, which has helped us survive pandemics, world wars, and will help us even survive this coronavirus or COVID, whatever you name you call it by. It will help us survive because it is that undying spirit of humanity that will carry us through. And this is the message to all you people who are on this platform right now. There's two things: change, continuity. And in between these two C's is not my name, it's a C, Clayton. It is challenge. How we face these challenges is what will make us. Justin spoke earlier, and I was noting his word. He says, different is better than better. And therefore, I'm asking you right now during this time of uncertainty, it is time that we have to look at learning, at work, at life differently, through a different set of lenses, not through Lenskart or GKB or, Lawrence and Bayer, not those kind of lens. We need to look at life as it is from a different perspective. We need to look at do things differently and yet better than before. We need to, before all this happens, first and foremost, we need to accept the fact that yes, there is change and there is no going back to the past. I know there are many, many people who are hoping and dying. Let's go back to the past. Let's go back to the past. But the past is the past. What we have to look ahead is the future. And that is why God has given us eyes in the front and not at the back of our head, to look ahead, to move along. And it is during this time of uncertainty, we have to look at a new way of proceeding, a new way of doing things, and a new way of continuing into the future. Because it is important for this change to really occur, for us to accept the change, for us to realize and say, am I a victim or am I a victor? We can sit back and cry to our heart's content and say, oh God, why has this happened to us? But rather than other way, we have to get up and move. We cannot sit back because this entire challenge called COVID-19, where the world has almost come to a standstill, is like a huge boulder in front of us. And no matter how much we can will it, that boulder is not going away till we destroy it. But first, we have to make that change. That change will not come from outside. That change will not come from people going out and lighting candles or banging pots and pans. That change will come in through me, me and myself, because the only change that can happen is the change from within. And therefore, dear young people, and all of you, young, old, not so young and not so old, this is where we need to make the change, to look ahead through a different set of lenses. And I would call it the COVID lenses, where life has changed and will change for the better. Question is, as Justin mentioned, are we ready to do things differently? Are we ready to look at life in a different way? Are we ready to move up and going ahead? We can cry, but nothing's going to change. But we have to get up because we need to face the challenge. Challenges are what makes life interesting. But overcoming these challenges is what makes life meaningful. And that is my call to you. And the only change that can come in is from within. And I'd like to end with this quote for everybody. The only change that can come in, according to Rumi, the Persian poet, is this. Yesterday, I was clever, so I wanted to change the world, full of Josh. Today, I am wise, so I am changing myself. And on those notes, I would like to end. Wish all the winners and all the participants and to Yuva and to Young Indians, thank you for organizing such a conclave. I do hope, one more little thing, like Steve Jobs would say before I leave, one more thing. I think it's for the first time that Young Indians and Yuva have put together so many webinars that they've not had so many years to put together. What has happened to it? Thanks to coronavirus, everybody was turbocharged into the future. Everyone is turbocharged into the future. We're doing things online. That is the new normal. I'm sorry, not new normal. Normal will make us complacent. That is the new reality. So let's keep connected. Let's keep moving ahead. And let's wish all of you all the very best. God bless you. And thank you for giving me that time. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. How have you been, Rachita?
Yeah, I can see you, Rachita. You're trying to give me competition with the beard and the color. You will
It's a long way still. It's a long way. Your words are always inspiring. Again, sir, can we have the video of Heritage playing now, please?
This journey started, and we are still on that journey.
What a
Thank
fantastic video. You're right about the webinars. This new times, it's changing. And would you believe the Young Indians have organized above 550 webinars since the lockdown, and which was open to all of us. And we have learned so much through it. And so has a Yuva.
And thank you. You guys have shared it with us, and we've been sharing it with so many people. I hope I hope it's going to multiply. COVID or no COVID in the years ahead. That's your challenge, friend.
Definitely. Can we have the list of students who have won the Yuva Leaders Award from Heritage College, please? Wow, that's a lot. Sir, these are the lovely students from your college who have been who achieved
for my colleges, not one college.
Colleges from your colleges, as I stand corrected, as the Yuva leaders, and Neha Rajgaria, out of all of them, who has won the Yuva Icon Award. She stood out amongst all the others. So I congratulate you on behalf of all the students for being exemplary leaders in today's date. Sir, one more thing before I log off and we allow you to log off. In this conclave, we had a fantastic B plan challenge called the Pitch Deck, and approximately more than 44 teams are participating. So Nidhi, if you could just take it over from here and let sir know what it is all about, and let him do the honors of congratulating these teams.
Sure. So this was our own version of Shark Tank, if you may call it, to find the
Okay.
next unicorn entrepreneur. And as Rachit already mentioned, we had about 44 teams, and
I'd like to interrupt. Who were the sharks?
who were the sharks? They were our very own YI members. So
It'll be
Yes,
good to know
and-
who those sharks were.
yeah, and so we had cash prizes of 40,000 to be won, and both the yes. So that's a lot for students, and both the winning teams are from St. Xavier's College. Can we have the slide of the winners, please? So Team Shuddhi with Samreen, Madhav, Love, Prithvi and Mehak, and Team Patirang with Siddhi, Ishani, Shivi and Siddharth. Sir, if you would like to say something to them.
Well, congratulations, Shuddhi and Padarang. Both the teams, you've done us proud, and I say you've done me proud, and you've done my alma mater proud too. So there's a very selfish motive, and thanks for bringing both to congratulate this group of kids who have done well. And 40K is a lot of money, and like, with time, please don't spend it, don't save it, invest it. Because that is the word we need to look at. We spend time, which means it's going out. We spend money, it's going out. We save it, we bury it. It has nothing to do. So like you would do with your money and your time, invest it for today and for tomorrow and for the road ahead. Congratulations and God bless everybody.
I love that word, sir, invest, because I think even all the students here, if they invest in themselves more than time and money as well, I think investing in your skills is what they need to take away from here
And
today.
I would say also invest in this time that coronavirus has given to us.
Yes,
It's a gift.
for sure. It's a gift.
Let's invest it in that time and make
Yes,
it use,
sir.
just 24 hours. Let's have the 24 hours, make it a wonder every day. Then
Yes,
it makes
sir.
wonder. Not tomorrow, not Kalki and Pore. That's too bad.
Yes.
Tomorrow is not a gift to us, it's today. So let's make the best of it today, each day. And I'm sure that investment will go much better than any SIPs or MFs can hit you down the line. Thank
Yes,
you once
sir.
again, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for joining us in our ending. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All you Yuva students are those who've made this such a success. Hello? And for you, we have a DJ performing in a few minutes. But before that, can we have the video where everyone sent us what they felt about this conclave?
Hello everyone, my name is Aditi Shobha from Ajinkya D.Y. Patil University, Pune. Thank you so much via Yuva Conclave to arrange this kind of session. It was really amazing, and I really enjoyed Moksha's band. Their performance was fantastic. Talking about Roshan Abbas' session, it was really inspirational. Looking forward for such more events. Thank you so much.
My name is Shubham Saurav and I am from the 4th year of Civil Engineering Department of Narula Institute of Technology. Yesterday when I heard to Mr. Roshan Abbas in CIU's conclave session known as Monetizing Your Passion, it was great hearing from him. And he said a statement that ever if you get an offer of a coffee or a tea, never ever reject that offer. And this statement hit really hard because it can change your career. Thank you CII Yuva for all your sessions. Thank you CII Yuva for this conclave and all of your members. Congratulations for this great success event.
Hi, I'm Benita Shah from Computer Science Engineering Department of Narula Institute of Technology. Glad to be a part of the CI Yuva Conclave. This brought to us some amazing sessions. Gala performance by Moksha and interactive session with Roshan Abbas hit me hard. Sessions and panel discussions with great mentor helped us genuinely. I'm grateful to my college for such an amazing opportunity and a very big thank you to CI Yuva Conclave.
Hi, I'm Deepa Deb from BBA Department of Narula Institute of Technology. I'm glad to be a part of CII Yuva Conclave. The sessions were really fruitful for me. The day before yesterday, advised by Mr. Karthik Shah that try, it's okay to fail, it's your time now, motivated me professionally and personally. I'm really grateful to my college for such an amazing opportunity, and also a huge thanks to CII Yuva Conclave. Thank you.
My name is Amisha Chaudhary. I'm from Rim College, Pune, and I'm very grateful to be part of Young Indians Yuva Conclave 2020. which has provided me with lots and lots of insightful knowledge and learning experience from different personalities. The one session which I liked the most was "Make Money from Your Passion" by Roshan Abbas, which beautifully depicted the advantage of digital presence over the job opportunities which we have right now in front of us, and how we can be productive and provide service to the nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, students, for making this such a great success for us. If it wasn't for you, this wouldn't have been possible. I now take this opportunity to welcome Smita. ACT, a changing theory. This is what the theme of all these 4 days was. Act, we say, is the change, and change is the only constant. When life is business as usual, we often don't realize how important it is to be adaptable. But these times in the COVID have taught us the grit that we take with us. The way we've changed and the way we've adapted is what has kept us going. For you today, Yuva is young, underestimated, valuable assets of this country. Your time is now. Your time has come. And you are not only going to make India shine, but take it to heights and create a new chapter history. This chapter in history is often going to take India away from the land of elephants and snake charmers and put it on the map of an emerging economy. Smita is our YI National Vice Chairperson. Smita is not only an example of someone who's conquered the tough and battled her way to make this success, but she's also someone who stood by and adapted to every change that's come her way. She is a director and the chief financial officer of PTC Industries Limited, a manufacturing of critical and supercritical cast metal components. PTC Industries was named the top 16 hidden gems in the country by Forbes magazine. Smita has dabbled many roles, but here I want to introduce you to her as someone who is inspirational. And let's have this chat, Smita, to tell them how to take this journey forward. Smita is an avid reader, and she told me her favorite book was Illusions by Richard Bach. My favorite quote from that book is, "You are never given a wish without having the capacity and the power to make it true. You, of course, have to work hard for it." And that, I think, is very relevant to all of you watching us here today. Welcome, Smita.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So, Smita, let's start with a simple, what's your message for the Yuva today?
I think so much has happened over the last 4 days, and the amount of wonderful sessions and the amount of education, information that has been passed on is absolutely wonderful. I would just say personally that the most important thing to understand is that you need to accept change. It's a cliche. I know it's been said very often, but to have that wisdom to and understanding, to understand what are the things in life that you can change and what you can't, and then being able to accept the things that you can't change, and to be able to make the changes in the place you can. So that is something that I feel will be a very, very strong thing that I've sort of learned by experience in life. And I think I hold true to that. If you can understand those things in life that are changeable and the ones that are not, and make that distinction, and then stand by with the things that can't be changed, but also work and motivate yourself to change the things that can be. I think that really helps as you go to the next step in life at this point.
I love how you brought change on both sides of the spectrum. And that's amazing because there's change inside and there's change outside, and things that you can change and things you can't. So I think that puts a lot of perspective as to what we are dealing with right now. You know, the COVID times is something we can't change, but how we deal with the time is something completely in our control. And yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think this is an opportunity given to all the Yuva here to, sort of sharpen all the skills that they never had time for, and, follow their passion in terms of singing, dancing, taking alternate careers? Do you think that makes sense?
I think this is a time for all of us. It's an opportunity
Yes.
for all of us, actually. I think a lot of us have discovered hidden passions and hidden, desires that we had to learn things. So definitely, it's a great time. Again, the idea is to recognize the opportunities that this time offers, and the avenues that it opens for us. So while, of course, we are dealing with something which is completely unprecedented, which we've never experienced before, and it came to us when we were completely unprepared, I think it has brought with us a lot of new ways of doing stuff, new ways of adapting to the things that we are facing on a daily basis. And this whole experience, I mean, just this conclave for the last 4 days has shown us how much we can achieve and how much we can do. And I was here, listening to some of the students when they were talking about their experiences over the last 4 days. I think that's absolutely wonderful. The amount of knowledge and experiences and the engagement that you've been able to give through this to so many people, that's unique to this time. That's unique to something that's been created as an opportunity now. So definitely, I think it's a time of great opportunity. It's also a time to reflect, to think about things which are important to us, that mean a lot to us. So many people have realized that there are so many things in their life which they can do easily without, which actually did not hold that much of value for them. So to be able to recognize what really holds value for us in these times, and to be able to work towards achieving more of that, is something that's very beautiful for this time.
As much as I'm sure nobody's going to believe when I say this, Smita's a parent to someone who is as old as most of you viewing us here. Smita, what do you think about a parent and child relationship in these days? Because, a lot of college students feel that their parents don't understand them. And a lot of parents feel that they're not getting across to their children when they give them advice, because that's often taken as, you don't understand, the times are changing. You do not know what my dreams are. You do not understand how to get along with the times. How do you think that communication should be, because communication is key, and you cannot fight these battles, but you need to understand each other. So what's your take on how parents and children should communicate with children this age? I wouldn't even call them children, I would call them young adults. I think that's the right word. Yes.
I think when it comes to this point, and honestly, I have an older son who's 20 or nearly 21, but I also have a son who's 14. And even for him, I'd say there comes a time when you realize that it's more like a two-way channel. It's not something that only you have things to offer them and to teach them. There's so much more that they have now to teach us and to help us to learn and evaluate what are the things that are happening in our life. And I'll be very candid. When I was, when Weber reached out and he said, to come for this conclave, the one person that I thought that I should sit down and talk with is my son, to understand that what is it that what matters, what is valuable in these times. And sometimes you feel that you have become a little distanced from the point at which we were, young adults and we were teenagers or in college and in these situations. But I think times, of course, are different from the time that we were younger, and now the kind of challenges that the young adults are facing now. Life has definitely become more complicated. There's so many more things that it throws at you on a daily basis. And there's so much more that you can do with it. But that's the beauty of, when we're talking about change, the fact that, and when we're talking about adaptability, the fact that all of these young adults are so capable of adapting so quickly to these changing times. They are so much better at doing all of these things. And yes, the communication that you can establish with a young adult at this time is, it sort of yields value for you to understand how to deal with them. And it hopefully helps to imbibe some of the values and some of the traditions that we carry with us also. so that you retain that connect. And I think it's kind of passing a baton on from one generation to the other. And that's a natural process that happens. So if you just ensure that you leave the channels of communication open, you can actually learn both ways, and you can create that change slowly and accept it.
Yeah, I think that's something you can take back home, all of you listening to us here. That communication is key, and if you tap your parents the right way, it doesn't have to be brutal always. And coming from that, all the girl students here who are listening to us, no matter how much the times have changed and how much opportunity is there, there are still a lot of parents who feel that girls need to settle down in terms of quote unquote get married, have children at the right age, and do all of that. And you've handled both. And as much as there's always a guilt trip of paying attention to one over the other, but you've beautifully managed having a career and having a beautiful family, and a connected family at that, because I see that you're very connected with your sons. What message would you like to give the young girls here today, to tell them that it's great to follow your dreams and you can have best of both worlds? It doesn't have to be either or.
First thing I'd like to see is that there is no difference between the message that one would like to give to the girls today and the message that one would like to give to the boys.
Yeah.
If at anything, I just want to be able to say to both of the girls and the boys of today, is that the most important thing that I have felt in my life and in my experiences is about belief, and is about the power of believing in what you do, what you stand for, and the choices that you make. And added to that is the power of having somebody else believe in you. And that is one experience that I have felt directly when engaging with YI. Sometimes you yourself do not know that you are capable of these things, or that you can actually aspire to be somebody. I was also I think watching on YouTube the earlier session that you had with Austin, and there was so much that he talked about, and the fact that even without formal degrees or that kind of education or the kind of grades that you would expect to get into very Fortune 500 kind of companies, you are still able to get into a lot of these with the grit and determination and a clarity of purpose. And that, I think, comes a lot with your own self beliefs, and the power of having somebody else also believe in you and support you is incredible. That's why I think the parent and child relationship that you talked about earlier, that is where it works wonders. If the parent can instill a sense of belief in the child that, yes, I'm capable of doing the things that I've set out to do, I'm capable of achieving the dreams that I have, that's the biggest gift that you can give to your children. And I think that's what sets them free and lets them have their own piece of the sky.
Yeah. So, okay, let's just do a fun rapid fire, and then we'll move on to the next set of awards with you, Smita. So I'm going to throw like 5 words at you, and let's see what comes back with me. So, inspire.
I think. So what you want me to say to that?
Just one word that comes back to you when I say inspire.
I think just one word would be a guiding light, a teacher, perhaps, is somebody
yes,
or any kind of an actor.
Okay, education.
Education is a constant process. It's a lifelong process.
Yeah. Motivation.
Motivation is what would I say? I would say to the biggest one that I think works for me is being able to give more than you think that you're capable of.
And what about Yuva Conclave 2020? What comes to your mind when we say that?
There aren't words. I'm speechless when I come to that one. I think beyond any description or any kind of accolade, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I think it's absolutely brilliant that you guys have taken this on. And I think my heartiest congratulations to the entire team, to all the effort that went into this. But I think you guys have done a great job. Fantastic.
Thank you so much. And I think it is the times, and it is this change in the times that was what made this possible, because in what was last year, I don't think we could have imagined a 4-day conclave with colleges from all over the country participate and so many people come speak to us. So yeah, it's been great.
I just feel
I
that
would like to welcome back Rachit.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I was saying, I just feel that one of the biggest learnings of this time is that whatever we've got as these opportunities, we're not to let go of these. And even when we get on to different times, we should at least make sure that we make use of all the learning that we've got at this time.
Yes, I completely agree with you. It was great chatting with you, Smita, and Rachit's going to take the evening a little forward with the next set of awards before we finally end with the DJ that everybody is waiting for.
Hi, Smita. How are you?
I'm good, Rachit. How are you?
All well. So, did you enjoy the conclave?
Absolutely. I wish I had more time. I actually wish, Rachit, seeing conclaves like this, that I was also a student, who had the ability to get into one of these and experience all the wonderful things that you've given to your students for the last 4 days. So there's some sessions that I've actually bookmarked on YouTube, and I'm sure I'm going to go back and have a full fill of them. Yes.
So for the next set of award, I would really like you to stay on, and I would like to also invite Bharat Oswal. If Bharat could just unmute himself and put his video on. Bharat has actually helped us a lot with this conclave, and he's been a tremendous help as always. So hi Bharat.
Hi Rachit.
Hi Bharat.
Hi Smita.
Great having you. So admin, could we have a video or a slide for the next award? And Nidhi, would you like? Okay, so Nidhi not there. So this was basically a theatre competition which was held, and there have been 2 winners. So we can read the names, and it's Padmesh Shrishti, Somanti Chatterjee, Nilofar Iqbal, Shubham Kumar, who is the winning team. And runners up is Sonia Agasti, Soumyajit Das, and Somendra Banerjee. So is Nidhi there? Or is Shivani there? Anybody? Could you tell Smita and Bharat what the exact theatre competition was all about?
Yes, so we had this improv theatre competition with Ramanjit Kaur, where it was just about being spontaneous and about, sort of putting an act together in no time without any preparation. And these are the winners from there. So yeah, we had a great attendance in that, and it was over 2 days. Shivani, would you like to add something to that?
Yes, sure. So we had about 161 sign-ups for this event, so that was great. And the topic of the improv event was accessibility. So Shilpa Jhawar was conducting the event, and from the accessibility team. So it was really nice to see such young minds so sensitive about these topics, and we were able to conduct a really great event out of this. So, and congratulations to the winners. I got to attend the session with them. Like, I got to see the things that they actually made. So it was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much, Shivani. Thank you, Nidhi. Bharat, you've just logged in. Could you take a minute and tell us what is your view of the whole conclave? And then I would like Smita to, she's already said a lot, but maybe give us another 10 seconds of parting lines.
Okay,
So, Bharat, over to you.
I'll keep it very short and sweet. I think so. So Rachit and me connected almost a week back. So the whole concept of the conclave was very good. Overall, the way the whole structure was, the format was, the whole teamwork, which I think so probably Young Indians is already known for that, and the number of students who participated. I'm very happy that lots of students participated from Pune, Bombay, Surat, Bangalore, Raipur, other places, and probably every session was interesting. So probably after a long time, I got to learn something new, watch something new, and it was very exciting. So thank you, Rachit. Thank you, Deepam. Thank you, Udyam. Thank you, the whole Eastern region team. I think so without them, it was not possible. And I think so it's more of a teamwork, and I think so, okay, that's how we should continue further. Thank you.
Fantastic. Smita, anything for
As
the
I
team?
said earlier, Rachit, hardly any words to express how wonderful this experience has been. I think that the great thing is that this content is here to stay. You've created an amazing amount of content for everyone to access, and I would encourage anybody who's not had an opportunity to view all of it to keep going back and making sure that they go through every single minute, because I think it's really wonderful to have that available and such easy access. And I also would like to say that a big congratulations to Anand, to Arpit, to all of you, Dilip, for taking it nationally. So I really think that this is a fabulous effort, and Rachit, amazing work that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much, Smita. Guys, just another 7 to 8 minutes before we let the DJ take up the floor. Before that, I think we might have one fantastic speaker video which is playing. Nidhi, am I right?
Yes, so we've had stories of struggle, of passion through the conclave, of dedication and of focus. But this is this one last time we want to reiterate that nothing comes easy. And when the going get tough, the tough get going. This is Rohit Roy for you, our very own Bollywood star.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, this is Rohit Roy. Firstly, thank you, Young Indians and the Confederation of Indian Industries, for inviting me here to speak with your young brigade. You know, I believe, in fact, very strongly that there's nothing that I can actually teach you or tell you, because I think Generation Next knows a lot more about a lot of things than I do or I did. So I said, what do I do? What do I address you with? I thought I will talk to you about something that you don't have yet. Experience. And believe me, there is no substitute for experience. So I'm going to share a small story with you guys about my life. The early on years, as most of you probably don't know, I never wanted to be an actor. Never wanted to be an actor. In fact, I used to look at my brother and used to tell my mom, I said, what is he doing? Jumping around trees, jumping into swimming pools, wearing these tight chaddis. Aisa hota hai kya? We are from a good family. Look at what he's doing. Little did I know that one day I will end up doing the same and much more. Anyway, the story here is I was in St. Xavier's College in Ahmedabad, and I was going to Ann Arbor, Michigan. UMich, if you've heard of UMich. Ann Arbor, Michigan was one of the best B schools in the world, and even today, it's one of the best business schools. So I got my I-20, I aced my GMAT, I had a damn good SAT score, etc., etc. My fees were paid, my tickets were bought, and I came from Ahmedabad to Bombay, to the consulate. That time it was Bombay. To the consulate, and I stood outside in the line. Many of you who have gone to the consulate at that time will know, we came at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning and stood in the line till 9 o'clock before they started taking us in. Inside, I waited for an hour and a half. The moment my number was called, I eagerly, picked up my file and I went and stood there in front of the executive, and he looked at me, he asked me a couple of questions, and he just, in less than 30 seconds, he stamped my passport saying, you can't go. Intended visit to the US is immigration. I have not forgotten that line. My world collapsed. I didn't know what to do because I never had a plan B. I was a really, really good student. Now, I don't know whether I would have come back or no. Those days when people went there, they would not come back. So I can't blame them. But in my mind, I would have come back because my mother was here and she was alone. They didn't understand that. They said, no, if you have a wife, it's fine. Your mother? Maybe not. Anyway, so here is where the seek, the learning, the experience comes. Either I could have just gone, oh my God, now what? Or pulled up my socks and decided, okay, now what do I do? Let me think. I started sitting for all the MBA exams, every single exam, right from IIM to Symbiosis to SP Jain. I did it all. I got admission into all of them. And the day I was supposed to go to Symbiosis Pune for my group discussion, I met a gentleman called Kunal Kapoor. Kunal Kapoor is the son of Shashi Kapoor, the legend. And he said, so you're going to go to Pune to do what? I said, sir, I'm going to do my MBA. He said, 2 more years of studying and then what are you going to achieve? You'll be sitting in some fuddy-duddy office signing papers and checks. Is that the kind of life you want? And in my mind, I was thinking, yes, that's the kind of life I want, one of security. And I don't know what happened in those 30, 40 seconds. And I said, what else can I do? And he said, start working with me. With no experience in advertising, he used to make ad films. No experience whatsoever. He gave me a job as an assistant. And I said, bye-bye, symbiosis. Because kahin na kahin, ek glamour ka chaska rehta hi hai. And when you get that toehold into the industry, you say, okay, let's see what happens. And this is the experience I want to share with you. There is a thing called destiny. I didn't have plan B, but for me, it was good not to have plan B. As many TEDx talks and lectures I've given, I know I can feel the professors and the teachers looking at me, giving me dagger looks, but I believe in it. Sometimes it's good not to have a fallback plan, because I know most of you believe, some of you don't believe, but if you do believe, I'll tell you something. There is destiny, there is fate. I believe in God. I believe that somehow there is some superpower taking care of all us. I don't know whether this makes any sense to you, but if I had a plan B, I would not have been sitting here delivering this little talk and trying to pep you up. So before I sign off, do not ever get disheartened if any of your plans don't work. Never. Just keep trying harder and harder and harder. And I'm sure you've read a lot of books. You don't need me to tell you. The game isn't over till the last ball is bowled. And the last ball, you understand what I mean. Till then, the struggles will continue. Life will take its own path. Keep at it. That's the only thing I can tell you. I can send you my blessings. I can send you a lot of my love. And the story, I hope, will make you see that sometimes things don't turn out the way you planned it. But it's not such a bad thing. Once again, thank you very much, YI and CII, for having me here. And I'm sending you lots of love, all you people out there, starting off in life. Lots and lots of love. Make us proud. God bless.
A month ago, it was just a vision. Today, it has snowballed into something so amazing and so big. This is the behind the scenes of this project. Yuva is learning beyond education. And YI stands for we can, we will. And if I may say, we have done it this time and done it so well. Can we have the video, please?
Hi guys, the curtains are down, but we feel the show must go on. So here's a snippet of what went into making this conclave. It was one of the routine mundane days of the lockdown when Arpit and I called Vaibhav and asked him to envision a youth conclave. The idea seemed exciting and he began toying with it. Soon, the idea took seed, became appealing, and he called for a Yuva team meeting. It was time to discuss and run a mind marathon of sorts.
What happened next became a personal journey for each one of us. The next 1 month just flew by.
There were multiple Zoom meetings where we chatted and discussed, and soon ideas were put on the table.
It was almost like a cafeteria choice. There was so much to choose from. It was time to add some dressing to this salad.
We decided to find a theme for the conclave, and there sprang the notion of ACT, a changing theory. Without wasting time, we decided to coin the conclave. YI, Yuva Conclave, ACT, a changing theory.
Our speakers were planned, calls were made, confirmations received, and we were set to go.
The motto of YI is to help build a better nation, and the motto of Yuva, learning beyond education. Set on the same tangent, we set out to gather maximum participation and began collecting a huge audience.
We tapped our database. The response from colleges was overwhelming. We decided to tap outside our database.
Outside chapters joined our mission. The conclave was all set to become national. We had touched 4,500 registrations on 28th of August 2020, one day before the conclave began.
4 Zoom meetings with 50 students each were held by our team members every single day. We briefed them about the conclave and kept on answering their queries.
then formed WhatsApp groups with all these students and kept in touch with them, troubleshooting all their problems.
We rolled out a Yuva leadership certificate, and that was really a game changer because we had so many Yuva leaders on board, and it was really great.
Creatives were prepared in a week, and we took out an event catalog to know your speakers. Hoardings were put up, and 91.9 Friends FM became our official radio partner for the conclave.
A tech team was formed, and the three musketeers of a team took the reins in their hands.
Dry runs were conducted and trials were made all through last week leading up to the conclave. We were ready to zoom in and go live on YouTube.
We hit roadblocks, lacked a little in time, but someone or the other was always available to make the tables turn, and we were back in the game.
The enthusiasm amongst the students rubbed onto us. We started burning the midnight oil, if we may say so.
Day one dawned, and we received an overwhelming response with more than 1,000 unique visitors. This put us on a high, and we were even more excited for day two.
On day 3, we introduced Conclave College Chronicles, and by 10 p.m. we received various videos. It was heartening to see the effect the conclave had on the students. And again, we are very excited for the 4th day.
Masterclasses, workshops, panel discussions, competitions, entertainment, all planned and executed. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So we got a DJ for the night, and it was a wrap.
The days of the conclave were eagerly awaited for, but the day's work didn't end with the sessions.
Our team was still at work even past midnight on all the days that the conclave ended. E-certificates were sent out to all the students every day, even past and late into the night.
It was a mammoth task, but the students' excitement in receiving their certificates filtered through their messages on the various WhatsApp groups of colleges that we have, and that told us all's well that ends well.
On behalf of Team Yuva, it gives me immense pleasure that through this conclave, we were able to communicate our message of learning beyond education. It was awesome to have been able to interact with thousands of students and various speakers all across the globe. The memories of this conclave will echo in our ears for times to come. How we could change the idea of the conclave into a movement of sorts will be cherished forever. At last, I want to convey my heartfelt gratitude to the 5,000 plus students, 85 plus colleges and universities, various professors, speakers, partners and sponsors, without whom we could not have achieved the impossible. Together, we can, we will. Thank you.
And now it's time to celebrate. Can we have DJ Akash on, please? DJ Akash?
Check. Yes, I'm live and I think I'm audible. Let the party begin. Yes, live with YI and CII. The party is about to begin from here on. Welcome to the party for the next 1 hour. It's going to be non-stop dance music. Let it begin. And we're greeting everybody. I hope you guys are home and safe. Well, just the beginning. Get this party started.
If I woke up without you, I don't know what I would do. Thought I could be single forever till I met you. Usually don't be falling fast. You got Yeah, baby, I know you're creeping. I feel it in the air. Every night and every day, I try to make you stay, but you're savage love. Did somebody break your heart? Looking like an angel, but you're savage love. When you kiss me, I know you don't get to, but I still want that. You're savage love. You're savage love, love, love. You're savage love, love, love. You could use me. Savage love. Did somebody break your heart? Looking like an angel, but you're savage love. Do you recall not long ago when you would walk on the sidewalk? Innocent, remember?
Turn your heart into a dance floor.
Care for each other, but the night was warm. We were bold and young. All around, the wind blows. We would only hold on to let go. Focus, fire gun. We need someone to lean on. Focus, fire gun. All we need is somebody to lean on. Focus, fire gun. We need someone to lean on. Focus, fire gun. All we need is somebody to lean on.
house into your dance floor. Yeah, check this out. Everybody together, come on.
Young money, young money, young money.
Pumping some energy.
Love in 1,000 different flavors. I wish that I could taste them all tonight. No, I ain't got no dinner plans, so you should bring all your friends. I swear that to all of y'all my type.
One of my favorites.
They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and place them both in mine. You know you stopped me dead while I was passing by. And now I beg to see you dance just one more time. Ooh, I see you every time. And oh my, I like your
check it out. Some Punjabi power. When we say Bhangra, all the hands go up in the air wherever you are. Put your hands up, put your hands up, put your hands up, put your hands up. Everybody come on, pop up the party, yes. Well, the next one is called Action. Yes, one of my favorite folks in the mix. And check this out. If you haven't seen the video, you got to see it. It's called Action. Here it comes.
Infinity. It's time for some action.
Let's pick it up.
Time for some action.
Black Eyed Peas.
Time for some action.
Yeah.
Give me satisfaction. It's time for some action. It's time for some action. It's time for some action. Give me action. Give me satisfaction.
Give me some action.
Give me action. Come on.
Bollywood music lovers.
Think about to go Rambo. Feeling like Cobra Commando. Up in the spot, took more shots, drank. Now we're about to reload the ammo. Live life like a vandal. No detox, we lit like a candle. Straight savage, cannibals, animals. Burn the roof down with the flammables. Woof. We done lost our man, this planet. Of the apes, we bananas, manics. Up in the thick like bandits. We about to blow up the bitch volcanic. Woo. That's Hawaii 5-0. Yo, that's the style I know. Yo, yeah, I got the pyro. I go Americano psycho. Thriller. It's time for some action. Give me satisfaction. It's time for some. It's time for some. It's time for some action. It's time for some action. Give me satisfaction. It's time for some black.
Going the Bollywood way. All you Bollywood music lovers. Yes, with YI and CII. Let's do it.
नचने दे मीठी मीठी सी ये मुनिया सर पे डाले है ये दुनिया क्यों क्यों हो सोनी सोनी सी कुड़ी नु मौज में रहने देना दुनिया क्यों है कितनी शानदार कुड़ी ये करने की कमाल इसे चूम ले अपनी बीच से कुड़ी नु बचने दे आज लगाने दे ठुमके हाँ चमके कुड़ी नु बचने दे नचने दे सारे अक्कम छटके मन ठन के नचने दे नचने दे बाज लगाने दे ठुमके चमके नचने दे नचने दे सारे या फिक्रां नू छड्ड के बन के नचने दे बाज लगाने दे ठुमके चमके नचने दे सारे या फिक्रां नू छड्ड के बन के नचने दे
Rihanna fans.
Yellow diamonds in the light, and we're standing side by side as a shadow crosses mine. What it takes to come alive. It's the way I'm feeling, I just can't deny. But I gotta let it go. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in a hopeless shine a light through an open door. Love a life I will define. Turn away 'cause I need you more. Feel the heartbeat in my mind. It's the way I'm feeling, I just can't deny. But I gotta let it go. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in a hopeless place.
24 hours, I need more hours with you. You spent the weekend getting even. Ooh. We spent the late nights making things right between us. But now it's all good, babe. What I thought would, babe. And play me close. 'Cause girls like you run around with guys like me till sundown. When I come through, I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah. Girls like you love fun and yeah, me do what I want. When I come through, I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Keep guessing. Keep posting.
बेईमान दिल बड़ा बेईमान होता नहीं आसान इसे है समझाना बेईमान दिल बड़ा बेईमान तेरे लिए शैतान
भाई ये बेईमान कौन है?
देखोगी देखेगा तू लो दिल से शरारत लगे
Yeah, my favorite.
ये भी न जाने वो भी न जाने नैनों के रंग नैना जाने मिला जो संग तेरा उड़ा पतंग मेरा हवा में होके मलंग जग की कोई रीत न जाने मैं तो बस तेरी हुई दीवानी मिला जो संग तेरा उड़ा पतंग मेरा हवा में होके मलंग मैं छोड़ा ही घर बार मेरा ओ मखावे मखना तू ही है संसार मेरा ओ मखावे मखना ये पागल सा है प्यार मेरा ओ मखावे मखना मैं छोड़ा ही घर बार मेरा ओ मखना छोड़ा ही घर बार मेरा ओ मखावे मखना तू ही है संसार मेरा ओ मखावे मखना ये पागल सा है
With the next one, time to fly up in the sky. Get ready. Yes, 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 fly. Well, this one is YI's favorite track. Yes, the anthem of YI. Check it out. You know this one? Let's rewind with this. Yes, the Gangnam Style.
Open Gangnam Style.
How deep is your love?
Keep that energy going. Yes, yes, yes. House party. Just few more minutes to go. Come on. If you're in the party, put your hands up. Put your hands up. Yes, yes. Everybody, are we ready? How about some Punjabi? Punjabi power, get ready for the next one.
पेश करन जा रहे हैं गौर ना सुन लो
स्लो इट डाउन कि तेरे संग यारा अख लड़ने लगी लड़ लड़ के आगे बढ़ने लगी एक तेरे संग यारा अख लड़ने लगी लड़ लड़ के आगे बढ़ने लगी ओ तेरे दिल के इशारे ये तो पढ़ने लगी तुझे लगता खराब मुझे लगता बुरा सोना इश्क जो है तेरा ऐसे कि तू ना हो पर हाथ let me go spoil करना तू मूड मेरा ओ दिल को तूने छुआ ओ जब संगी हुआ ओ दिल को तूने छुआ
Just last few minutes, make the best. Play it loud, play it loud. Right, all you Sukhbir fans, make some noise, say hi! Yeah. Sukhbir fans!
पहली बात तो ये जो तू टिकटॉक चलती है माना ये सारी तेरी हाई हील्स की गलती है तो जा तू है कौन ये तो बता तू है कौन कहाँ से आई कहाँ से जाएगी पागल लड़की मुझे भरवाई Shut up
As I said, all you Sukhbir fans, say hey, oh, come on everybody. Just few more minutes. Yes, yes. The Punjabi anthem. Some oh-hos together. Are we there? 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 Come on, come on, come on. Well, just 5 more minutes together. Yes, on visuals, Philip with me. Some madness, come on.
देखो तो हसीना को आना भी करीना को तुमको का फीवर है चढ़ने लगा थोड़ा हार्ड सा होके थोड़ा जेंटल सा होके थोड़ा सेंटी सा होके थोड़ा मेंटल सा होके सारे 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 सारे
सारे मेंटल लोग थोड़ा हाथ तो उठा लो.
Let's not joke.
Exactly 5 more minutes together.
चढ़ा है बुखार पार्टी करनी लगातार मेरे यार दिन चार जिंदगी के तू जिले हो जाओ तैयार ये गाना है ऑन रिपीट देखो बजती है बीट न पड़ो तुम ढीले बकवास भुला के कोई स्टेप सा बना के हाथ ऊपर उठा के पूरी जान लगा के सारे 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 Let's not joke. Everybody, let's not joke. Not joke. Not joke. Not joke. Everybody, let's not joke.
Alright, we just got last two more tracks coming your way, and this is going to be on special request for all you Ichhadhari Nagins. Let's do it with this one. Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Last two more.
It's been long. तेरी बीन सुने परदेसी. It's been long. तेरी बीन सुने परदेसी. सजना गन तेरे लगे आंगन तेरे. मैं नाचन थानू एक राती anymore. लहरा ना बोली, ठहरा ना बोली. Don't you love me anymore? It's been long. तेरी बीन सुने परदेसी. It's been long. तेरी बीन सुने परदेसी. आगन gin 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 gin.
Love is the best place to find lovers, so the bar is where I go. Me and my friends at the table doing shots, drinking fast and then we talk slow. And you come over and start up a conversation with just me, and trust me, I'll give it a chance. Now take my hand, stop, and the man on the jukebox, and then we start to dance. And I'm singing like, girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me. Come on now, follow my lead. I may be crazy, don't mind me. Say, boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me. Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead. I'm in love with the shape of you. You push and pull like a magnet. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. Last night you were in my room. And now my bedsheets smell like you. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with your body. 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 Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you. When we came, we let the story begin. We're going out on our first date. You and me are thrifty, so go all you can eat. Fill up your bag and I fill up the plate. We talk for hours and hours about the sweet and the sour and how your family's doing okay. And even getting a taxi, kissing the backseat, tell the driver make the radio play. And I'm singing like, girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me. Come on now, follow my lead. I may be crazy, don't mind me. Say, boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me. Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead.
कानों में एक दिल की बात सुनावानी मैनू हसदा वेख के जगनू मैं भुल जावानी दस दे कितना गल तेनू समझावानी वो अब तू छड़ दे उन्नू जो है तेरे नाम नखरे क्यों कर दिया मैनू जचदा नहीं इन्ना सवाल कर दिया ना मैं सुनदा नहीं होर दस की तारीफां चाहिदियां तैनू
Just one last one after this. Oh yeah?
मेरा माइंड तू करे ग्लो बाकी करे शाइन तू करे ग्लो जीन्स डाली डाली तूने जो वो तेरी पे टाइट बेबी जैसे मेरा फ्लो बेबी गॉड डैम तू है 100 बाकी एवरेज तू है सैवेज बेबी तू है रॉ मुझे तेरी बॉडी की हर वो चीज लगे सेक्सी जो बाकियों को लगती है फ्लॉ बेबी लेट्स गो right now देखो मुझे late night निकल आओ लग तेरा लीन बात
One last time.
ਹੋਰ ਦੱਸ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਤਾਰੀਫਾਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਦੱਸ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਤਾਰੀਫਾਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਦੱਸ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਤਾਰੀਫਾਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਦੱਸ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਤਾਰੀਫਾਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ
All right, before I play the last one, a big thank you YI, CII, the entire team for having me here, and all the best to all the students who have joined us today. Hope you had a good time, good party at home, and this is gonna be the last one, and this is a very special one. We're gonna end it the patriotic way, in one voice. All you proud Indians, future Indians, or rather I can say the future of India. You guys gonna say it together, Bharat Mata Ki. Yes, together. This is how we're gonna end the party. Thank you very much. Good night. Stay home, stay safe, and take care of yourself and your loved ones. All you proud Indians. A special remix. One last time. I want to see the entire chat box filled with Bharat Mata Ki. Jai Hind.
है मेरी ज़मीं अफसोस नहीं जो तेरे लिए 100 दर्द सहे महफूज रहे तेरी आन सदा चाहे जान मेरी ये रहे ना रहे
Absolutely.
मेरी ज़मीं महबूब मेरी मेरी नस नस में तेरा इश्क बहे फीका ना पड़े कभी रंग तेरा जिस्मों से निकल के खून कहे
Together before we end, sing it. Come on.
तेरी मिट्टी में मिल जावा गुल बन के मैं खिल जावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू तेरी नदियों में बह जावा तेरे खेतों में लहरावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू
Proud Indians, the future of India. All the kids, come on together. Last 2 minutes.
सरसों से भरे खलियान मेरे जहाँ झूम के भंगड़ा पा न सका आबाद रहे वो गांव मेरा जहाँ लौट के वापस जा न सका ओ वतना में मेरे वतना में तेरा मेरा प्यार निराला था कुर्बान हुआ तेरी असमत पे मैं कितना नसीबों वाला था
One more time.
तेरी मिट्टी में मिल जावा गुल बन के मैं खिल जावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू तेरी नदियों में बह जावा तेरे खेतों में लहरावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू केसरी
Together, come on.
ओ हीर मेरी तू हंसती रहे तेरी आंख घड़ी भर नम ना हो मैं मरता था जिस मुखड़े पे कभी उसका उजाला कम ना हो ओ माई मेरी क्या फिक्र तुझे क्यों आंख से दरिया बहता है तू कहती थी तेरा चांद हूँ मैं और चांद हमेशा रहता है तेरी मिट्टी में मिल जावा गुल बन के मैं खिल जावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू तेरी नदियों में बह जावा तेरी फसलों में लहरावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू
Thank you, bye bye, good night. That's all from your DJ Akashwa signing out along with VJ Phillips on visuals. Some amazing visuals we saw. And once again, thank you YICI for having me here and all you future. Yes, the future of India. Keep shining. God bless.